I had a little bit of fun this week on Tech Thing. I got to review a massive old school gaming laptop. And old school is probably not kind, but it is old school in the sense that it is huge. This is Lenovo's Ideapad Y900, their ultimate gaming laptop. And it was fun because Shannon had bought a Razer Blade, which feels like it's about 1/3 the size of this thing to edit. We use as an editing station at CES this year. So part of what was fun about that is, one, it's so much smaller. This is a 17.3-inch G-Sync 1080p monitor built into it. It weighs 9.8 pounds. The power supply is bigger than at least one tablet I own.
Yeah.
But, you know, massive metal case, JBL speakers, a little subwoofer built into the speakers are okay. Mostly I was impressed by the fact that they have this crazy RGB keyboard, but it's a full mechanical keyboard built into there. Travels a little longer than what people would expect from a laptop, but it's really, really smooth. There's a turbo button on it, which I thought was really interesting because it's running a Core i7 6820HK CPU and a 8GB NVIDIA GTX 980M. And that last one's kind of the Achilles heel. The turbo button does overclock the CPU and GPU. You cannot use it unless the laptop is plugged in. But the results of the overclocking were not as significant as I would have liked because, you know, you want massive overclocking and huge performance. And once you've overclocked a processor on a desktop and gotten like 20 or 30% boost in performance, you know, a 10% boost, a 5% boost, a 20% boost just seems to pale by comparison. But you know, because they have so much going on inside of this, they've got some pretty loud fans, which were alarming until I sort of got used to them and they faded into the background. Because they would literally, they're just loud. And you'd be sitting there operating web browser, and all of a sudden the fans would kick on for like 15 or 20 seconds, and then they would shut back down again. Because I think they're pretty efficient at moving heat. The screen is absolutely gorgeous. The colors are fairly rich no matter what angle you're holding the thing at or if you're watching it from the side. The performance is really good. I enjoyed gaming on it, but the 980M is kind of a bummer because this is a massive, luxurious, we've embedded, you know, they've done so much nice work on the fit and feel of this in terms of the construction. There's like a 4x3 Synaptics touchpad inside of it, that mechanical keyboard I talked about, textured wrist rest, G-Sync on the monitor. But it came during that sort of, that space when NVIDIA decided to drop what I will call the 1060M, 1070M, and 1080M, which is not, of course, what NVIDIA would call them. They want to call them the 1060M, the 1060, the 1070, the 1080, because they are alarmingly close to desktop performance for mobile processors. But we took a look at Shannon's Razer Blade, which has a 1060 inside of it, and it pretty much delivers, you know, 980M level performance, and would, you know. And then there's, you know, I would have loved to have seen this, or I would love to see this laptop upgraded with a 1080 processor. But, you know, we're just doing some simple stuff with like 3D Mark. But it was amazing, especially on the DX12 benchmarks, the advantage that the 1060 had in performance by comparison to the 980M, or at least in just like, you know, either equaling or beating its performance. You know. For example, in talking about the turbo button, like on the Fire Strike, the DX11 3D Mark, the Y900 was 3% slower than the Razer Blade, and then with the turbo on, it was 3% faster than the Razer Blade. So you're talking about like a net 6% change in gaming performance. So the result of the turbo button wasn't like, woo, hold on. For the majority of 1080 gaming, though, it's a very enjoyable experience. I don't like carrying it around, but I will say one of the things they did with this, a lot of laptops where they include, a lot of laptops I've worked with that have a full keyboard inside of them, including the number pad, they've ended up making the number pad with full-size keys so that, and this may sound like a minor complaint, but a lot of times they've shifted the keyboard over compared to the center of the screen. But if you're actually playing with it on somewhere other than a table, it can be really frustrating for me to even if you are playing on a table, because if you know the G and the H keys are way over here, then I feel like I'm completely offset, and it makes gaming much more awkward. Or just typing on the thing much more awkward.
Yeah,
well,
I can see that.
Gaming's not too bad. If WASD and a mouse, it's not too bad. You can kind of sort of look at it off center. But typing when your head is off center is a little awkward for me. I just find that a little frustrating in gaming laptops or full size workstation laptops with full keyboards in them. $2,500. Again, I would really like to see them drop an updated version of this with the 1080. But it is if you are going for the full-on gaming desktop in a portable platform, but not actually using desktop parts, thankfully, it's nice. I just want the additional graphics performance for $2,500. And I should also point out, it is not like Shannon's Razer Blade was that inexpensive. With a Core i7 6700 HQ and a GTX 1060, that's a $2,100 laptop. One last thought about that Y900. If you're looking for something for a portable video editing box that can handle 64 gigabytes of RAM max, and you can run dual SSDs in a RAID 0, and it comes stock with like a 256 gigabyte Samsung NVMe SSD and a 1 terabyte Western Digital hard drive. So, I'm looking at that and being like, that would be an epic portable workstation for video editing. And you could game on it too. So,
yeah,
just saying.
Yeah, I would say I've been impressed with Lenovo's kind of movements in that direction on the gaming side. Kind of, I think Dell had pretty much the entire low cost ish budget gaming laptops to themselves for a while, and it's good to see a little competing capability in that regard.
We like that. Oh, removable keys. If you want to swap out the WASD key, there's a key puller and some red keys you can drop to the mechanical keyboard. I like that keyboard. It's nice. It's nice to type on. It's nice to game on too.